Well, we've heard a host of reactions from the opposition leaders, but now joining us live is the man of the moment and also decorated Supreme Court advocate, third time sitting MP, member of the CWC, chairman of the Parliamentary Standing Committee, jurist and even national spokesperson, Mr. Abhishek Manu Singhvi joins us here live. Mr. Singhvi, firstly, congratulations. All the efforts of yours and your team has paid off today in court. Strong observations being made today by the judges as well. What do you think are the biggest takeaways?
Well, first of all, I always approach judgments, orders with humility. Courts hear both sides. In fact, today, everybody in the court, including my opponent and me, were very pleasantly surprised. A huge record, hundreds and thousands of pages. The judges were actually mentioning and quoting evidence pages to us. I think, you underestimate the amount of hard work which goes into it. Each of the three judges has about 70 odd matters today. And they had known the page, the evidence, the reference today. That's one. Two, I think the highlights and the takeaway is that this is a final Supreme Court judgment on disqualification. His disqualification has been stayed. The conviction has been stayed. Disqualification goes. The judges heard me in about 12 or odd points. They mentioned many in open court. The order doesn't have to contain all things because there were diverse points. But 2 points which stand out are that the learned High Court had, come to a startling conclusion of moral turpitude, heinous offense, something serious done by Rahul Gandhi. And this is a term reserved for things like rape, kidnapping, murder. And there is no legal basis for saying this. For an offense astonishingly, which is bailable. Bailable, by the way, means that the police can give bail. You don't have to go to a court. Non-cognizable, all that means is you can't arrest without a warrant from the magistrate. Compoundable, which means you and I can settle the matter without the state coming into it. Privately, it can be settled. And maximum punishment, 2 years simple imprisonment. I pointed out there are only 22 offenses in the IPC which have simple imprisonment, which means it's the lowest form of offense. How can the judge hold this to be moral turpitude or serious? And the second point was that you jumped to the maximum punishment. Here is not a hardened criminal. There is no prior conviction to Rahul Gandhi's name, none. The Supreme Court order was an order in contempt, ultimately dropping it. So a person who has no conviction is saddled with the maximum punishment because 1 day less, 1 year, 11 months, 29 days would not kick in the disqualification. So if you do that, the court must give reasons. The court must tell you why it has jumped to the maximum. And the Supreme Court noted that the trial court and the High Court had given no importance to this fact. There was no such reason given. And there were, of course, other reasons.
Okay, Mr. Singhvi, we were just having a word with Mr. Chidambaram as well, and he too opined that, for slander, in the last 162 years, in fact, he's put out a tweet as well on these lines, where he said 2 years is something that's unheard of.
To the best of our knowledge, and I've talked to PC, as we call him, Chidambaram ji, he and I have found no case where 2 years has been imposed. I mean, there may be a stray case here and there which might have escaped us, but it shows you the rarity of a 2-year imposition.
And importantly here, Mr. Singhvi, there was also a few other observations that probably, public representatives should really watch what they say, probably should be a little more careful. This was also an observation there. How do you read that?
Certainly. There are two things. One is you have to keep things in proportion. The judgment was about stay of disqualification by stay of conviction. That was a 100% clear judgment. In the course of that, they said, among other things, that had the Supreme Court Rafale order come earlier, it might have acted as a guidepost for the accused. Now, the fact of the matter is the Supreme Court Rafale order came on 14 November 2019. The Kolar speech is April 2019. So there is no connection. But yes, there is a passing statement for that. I mean, it is, as I said, if you want to look at the horse, the elephant, or you want to look at the hair on the tail. So it's a, it is not really much relevance to the disqualification. But of course, everybody must exercise restraint. And sometimes in the heat of the moment, there was another part of the hearing where the courts pointed out that in such political campaigns, people don't even notice what they've said. They don't necessarily, always have to exercise the same restraint as in drawing rooms. So, but it's a point which has to be understood in the context in which it was said.
Also, legally, Mr. Singhvi, what's the way forward in this particular case?
As far as this case is concerned, this is a closure. It's the top court, it's the apex court. As far as the main conviction is concerned, we believe we have a strong case on merits. Yet it has to be tested yet. I mean, I'm not being presumptuous. On that strong case in merits pending in the first appellate court, we are confident and hopeful of a reversal of a conviction into an acquittal. But that will take some time. We cannot, hypothesize in advance. So now we wait and we fight it out on that. But as far as his the foundation of the whole thing was that, look, you have a conviction and consequentially you are disqualified. If the foundation goes, the conviction having been stayed, the consequence of disqualification goes. Of course, we have to win the conviction, convert it into a acquittal, but that's a separate proceeding.
Okay, also, Mr. Singhvi, we've seen while the disqualification did happen, there was a lot of anger among, the cadres across the country. Even in his home constituency, Wayanad, I in fact was there when it happened, and there was a lot of frustration among the people there. I'm sure many of them would be elated today. We've even seen a lot of celebrations throughout the country. What sort of ramifications does today's observations in the top court really have for Rahul Gandhi personally and for the Congress party?
Well, it's a very good sign. The court, I think, above all, took a pragmatic view and heard the whole matter out in about an hour. On a Friday with 70 cases or 65 cases to do it shows a pragmatic approach, shows the grip of the facts, shows that they do the amount of homework at home. And one way or the other, the matter is over. You don't drag it on. Second, anything resembling an 8-year disqualification is a very serious thing in the world's largest democracy. A former president of the world's largest democracy's 125-year-old party being excluded from political life for 8 years. I think it'll be a travesty, because in the heat and dust, the din of politics, you say things. It doesn't mean that it is defamation of the criminal kind. So I think it's the larger issue. Thirdly, I think Rahul Gandhi's voice has been a powerful voice in and out of Parliament. He speaks fearlessly. He makes the point which affect the masses, be it unemployment, price rise, the need to protect our institutions, strengthen them. And I think his voice will be a very welcome voice in Lok Sabha. I hope and trust it will be a powerful voice in the no confidence motion itself coming up on Tuesday. But certainly he's a vital core of the non-NDA opposition, and his voice must be heard.
When you say he's a vital core, questions keep coming up. And this is one of the questions that when the India Alliance sat here in Bengaluru or, earlier in Bihar, who's going to be the face of it? And with Rahul Gandhi back, do you feel that with his pan-India appeal, he's probably the face to go against Mr. Modi in 2024 for the Alliance?
I don't think the Congress party or any of us indulge in these divisive approaches or analyses. India or INDIA is a very, very great first step forward. It is not the last step. It is based on accommodation. It is based on collectivity. It is based on synergy. It is not based upon I, me, myself, which unfortunately the opposition and their leader is based on. And that collegiality and collectivity is there. So I don't think Rahul Gandhi has ever claimed that he is the face of the opposition or the leader of the opposition, but he's undoubtedly a core of it. He's a leader of our party, which is a core of it. And he's therefore a core of the INDIA. But everybody moves together. There has been a lot of collegiality and conviviality in that formation. And we think that with this, there'll be a big boost, a big push for something which is needed for a long, long time.
Right. How soon are we looking at Mr. Rahul Gandhi making a comeback to the Lok Sabha? Are we looking at it as soon as Monday? Probably. We've already heard that a letter has been written to the Speaker too.
Well, you have to ask that of the people who decide that, namely the Speaker's office. According to me, if you took 24 hours to evict me from Parliament, at least reinstate me in Parliament in 48 hours. Take double the time. What is so great about reinstating Rahul Gandhi? The basis is a Supreme Court order, which is certified copy is required. What is the great complex issue of law which has to be decided before you allow me re-entry? So I think grace in politics, grace and magnanimity in political public life requires that you restore status quo ante, because now the Supreme Court has said there should be stayed.
Right, Mr. Singhvi, thank you so much for sharing your insight into the the orders today, and more importantly into the ramifications of that too, and for the Congress Party. Thank you once again for joining us. With that.